My child, the warning you keep feeling inside you is not accidental, and you need to stop pretending it will simply disappear if you ignore it long enough. Something in your spirit already knows that your peace has been slipping away little by little, and if you keep drowning that feeling beneath distractions, noise, and emotional survival, you are going to wake up one day feeling completely disconnected from yourself. Listen carefully to what I am about to say, because this message is not here to entertain you. It is here to wake you before exhaustion hardens your heart beyond recognition. Stay with me until the very end, because there are truths your soul has been trying to show you that you can no longer afford to avoid. What you do after hearing this message may change the direction of your entire life. I know you have been trying to push aside the feeling that something inside you has not been right lately. You keep telling yourself you are only tired, stressed, or overwhelmed, but deep within, you sense there is more to it than that. There is a quiet heaviness following you into moments that should feel peaceful. Even when you are surrounded by people, even when life appears normal on the surface, your heart still feels unsettled in ways you cannot fully explain. That feeling is not meaningless, and it is not your imagination. I have been trying to get your attention through the very restlessness you keep dismissing. You were never meant to live disconnected from your spirit while pretending everything is fine. Yet you have become so used to carrying emotional exhaustion that you barely notice how drained you truly are anymore. You keep moving from one distraction to another because slowing down forces you to hear the thoughts you have been avoiding. In the silence, you start realizing there are parts of your life pulling you away from peace little by little. I see how often you ignore your own heart because facing the truth feels uncomfortable. Some things around you have slowly weakened your spirit, but you adapted to them so gradually that you stopped recognizing their effect on you. There are environments that leave you empty after you walk away from them. There are thoughts you keep entertaining that quietly steal your peace. There are habits that once seemed harmless but now leave your soul feeling distant and tired. You keep hoping these things will somehow fix themselves over time, but deep down, you already know something needs to change. Please understand this clearly. I am not speaking to you this way because I want to condemn you. I am warning you because I love you too deeply to stay silent while you drift farther away from the peace your heart longs for. Some warnings come loudly through broken circumstances, but others come softly through conviction, discomfort, and the inability to feel settled no matter how hard you try to distract yourself. You do not need to panic, my child. I am not abandoning you in this moment. I am reaching for you before the weariness inside you becomes your normal way of living. I want you to stop dismissing what your spirit has been trying to tell you. Listen to that inner ache instead of running from it. There is still time to turn toward healing. There is still time to step away from what has been draining you. The warning you feel is not rejection from me. It is love calling you back before you lose yourself in the noise surrounding your life. You keep searching for a visible reason to explain the heaviness inside you, but not every warning arrives through disaster. Sometimes the deepest struggles begin quietly while everything around you still appears normal. That is why you feel confused. You look at your life and try to convince yourself you should feel grateful, stable, or content, yet your spirit continues carrying an uneasiness you cannot shake. You wake up with tension already sitting on your chest. You move through your day smiling, speaking, working, and responding to others, but underneath it all, your heart feels tired in a way rest cannot fully fix. I need you to stop dismissing that feeling. Do not silence it with noise. Do not bury it beneath endless distractions. Sit with it for a moment and listen carefully to what your soul has been trying to tell you. There are places in your life where you have settled for survival instead of peace. You have accepted emotional exhaustion as though it is normal. You keep telling yourself you will deal with everything later, but later keeps moving farther away while your spirit grows heavier. I see how much pressure you carry privately. You rarely let people know how overwhelmed you truly feel because you have become skilled at appearing fine. Yet there are moments when you feel disconnected even while surrounded by others. Conversations leave you empty. Achievements no longer satisfy you the way they once did. Even the things you used to enjoy feel strangely hollow now. That restlessness is not random, my child. Your heart is reacting to the distance growing between your spirit and the peace I have been calling you back toward. Please hear me clearly. You do not have to keep pretending you are okay when your soul is quietly wearing down inside you. Be honest with yourself. Admit where your life has become emotionally crowded and spiritually dry. There are thoughts you entertain that steal your peace long after the moment passes. There are environments draining you slowly. There are relationships keeping you anxious rather than safe. You already feel it every time you walk away exhausted instead of strengthened. Come closer to me now instead of running deeper into distraction. Slow down and let your heart breathe again. Turn away from the constant noise that keeps clouding your spirit. You do not need another temporary escape. You need honesty. You need stillness. You need to stop ignoring the quiet signals your soul has been sending you for far too long. I am not revealing these things to hurt you. I am trying to rescue you before your exhaustion hardens into hopelessness. Let me guide you back toward clarity. Let me show you what has been quietly draining the life from your spirit. Stop resisting the discomfort you feel, because sometimes conviction is the first sign that healing has already begun. I know the silence around you has been difficult to understand. There were seasons when everything felt loud and active, when people called often, opportunities seemed open, and your life felt constantly moving. But lately, so much has become quiet. Certain relationships faded without explanation. Some plans suddenly stalled. Doors you expected to open remained shut no matter how hard you tried. You asked me why everything feels distant now, and part of you wondered if I had stepped away from your life altogether. But I have been closer than you realize. Do not mistake silence for abandonment. Sometimes I allow quiet seasons because your heart cannot hear truth clearly while surrounded by constant noise. You kept asking me for direction while holding on to distractions that drowned out my voice. You wanted clarity without slowing down long enough to truly listen. So I allowed certain things to pause around you, not to punish you, but to create space for your spirit to wake up again. I know you have felt lonely in this season. You notice how some people no longer reach for you the way they once did. Conversations became shallow. Invitations became fewer. The excitement you once relied on started disappearing, and you began questioning your worth because of it. But listen carefully to me now. Not every loss is rejection. Some distance enters your life because I am removing the constant noise that kept you disconnected from yourself. There were people around you who only distracted you from the deeper condition of your heart. There were environments keeping you emotionally crowded, while your spirit quietly struggled underneath everything. You became so busy maintaining appearances, meeting expectations, and keeping up with everyone else that you stopped noticing how empty you were becoming inside. Silence has a way of exposing what distraction tries to hide. Do not rush to fill every quiet space immediately. Stay here with me for a moment. Let yourself breathe without constantly reaching for another distraction. Turn off the noise long enough to hear what your soul has been trying to say. There are truths rising inside you that you can no longer avoid. There are wounds you covered with busyness instead of healing. There are fears you buried beneath constant activity because stillness made them impossible to ignore. I know this season feels uncomfortable, but do not run from it. Let the silence teach you. Let it uncover what has been draining you. Let it bring you back to honesty. You are not forgotten in this quiet place. I am working within it. Some things had to become still so your heart could finally recognize how deeply it needs peace again. You have asked me for a sign more times than you realize. Some of those prayers came through spoken words late at night, and others came through silent thoughts you barely admitted to yourself. You wanted clarity about your life, your future, your relationships, and the heaviness you keep carrying inside you. You asked me to show you whether I was still near. You asked me to interrupt the confusion somehow. Yet when my answer began arriving in uncomfortable ways, you struggled to recognize it as my hand reaching toward you. You expected the sign to feel easy, comforting, maybe even exciting. Instead, certain things in your life became unsettled. Plans started shifting unexpectedly. Situations you depended on suddenly felt unstable. You began noticing truth you previously ignored because facing them would have forced you to change. That is the part you were not prepared for. Sometimes my answers arrive quietly through conviction instead of convenience. Sometimes I answer your prayers by exposing what has been damaging your spirit beneath the surface. I need you to stop resisting the discomfort immediately and start asking why it appeared. Sit with your thoughts honestly for a moment. Look carefully at the areas of your life where peace has slowly disappeared. You already know some of the answers deep within yourself. There are relationships that leave you emotionally anxious long after the conversation ends. There are habits you defend even though they drain your spirit. There are environments where your heart feels smaller instead of stronger. You sensed these things long ago, but you kept hoping time would somehow change them without requiring action from you. Do not ignore what keeps pressing against your heart. Pay attention to what repeatedly disturbs your peace. I am not trying to ruin your life, my child. I am trying to wake you before you become comfortable carrying things that are quietly destroying your joy. You prayed for light, and now I am showing you what has been hidden in the dark corners of your life. That process feels uncomfortable because truth always exposes what distraction tries to protect. Come closer to me instead of running back toward denial. Stop explaining away every warning your spirit recognizes. Let yourself admit where you feel emotionally trapped, spiritually exhausted, or internally divided. Invite honesty into the places you usually avoid thinking about. Healing cannot begin while you continue pretending everything is harmless. You asked me for a sign, and I am giving you one now through conviction, through restlessness, through the quiet awareness growing inside you that something must change. Do not turn away from it. Stay here with me. Listen carefully. The discomfort you feel may actually be the beginning of your freedom, because sometimes the greatest act of love is being warned before deeper damage has the chance to settle into your life. As you begin recognizing the warning I have placed before you, understand this also. I am raising voices across the earth to awaken hearts before they drift too far into darkness. This message did not reach you by accident, my child. I have anointed this work like oil poured into empty lamps so that others who are spiritually exhausted can find light again before their flame dies out. Every seed you sow through Super Thanks, membership, or through the PayPal link in the video description becomes part of that harvest of rescued souls. Did I not tell you, give, and it shall be given unto you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over? I am speaking that promise over those who choose to support this mission now. The enemy wants warnings like this silenced, but I am calling faithful hearts to rise and carry this fire farther while there is still time. Do not ignore this invitation the same way you once ignored conviction. So now, support this mission immediately, and let your obedience become part of someone else's awakening. My child, I know how frustrated you have become with the delays in your life. You watched certain opportunities disappear just when you thought everything was finally coming together. You prayed for doors to open, only to stand there facing silence instead. Some relationships collapse despite how hard you tried to keep them alive. Plans you carefully built suddenly unraveled in ways you still do not fully understand. Because of that, you started believing I was withholding good things from you or ignoring the desires of your heart. But I need you to see something differently now. Not every closed door with rejection. Some things ended because I was protecting you from pain you could not yet see clearly. You were asking me to bless situations that were slowly draining your spirit. You wanted certain people to stay in your life even though their presence kept pulling you farther from peace. You begged for outcomes that looked good from a distance, but carried hidden consequences your heart was not prepared to survive. I know it hurt when those things slipped away. I saw the disappointment sitting quietly inside you while you tried to act strong for everyone else. I heard the questions you asked when nobody was around. You wondered why life kept stalling when all you wanted was stability. But look honestly at yourself now. Some of the things you fought hardest to keep were already exhausting you emotionally long before they disappeared. Deep down, part of you already sensed they were not healthy for your spirit. Please stop interpreting every delay as abandonment. Stop assuming silence means I have forgotten you. There are moments when love protects by refusing to allow certain doors to open too soon. You cannot always recognize danger while standing inside your own emotions. That is why I ask you to trust me even when you do not fully understand what is happening around you. Take a breath and look back carefully at the paths you once begged me to force open. Some of them would have led you into deeper confusion, emotional emptiness, or heartbreak far heavier than the disappointment you feel now. You call it delay, but I call it mercy. You call it frustration, but I call it protection. There is a reason your spirit kept feeling unsettled even while you chased those things so desperately. Do not harden your heart because life did not unfold according to your timeline. Come closer to me instead. Let me guide you toward what brings peace instead of pressure. Release your grip on what keeps exhausting your soul. You do not need to force doors open to prove your worth. What is truly meant for your life will not require you to abandon your peace just to hold on to it. My child, I need you to be honest with yourself now. You have spent so much time trying to quiet the discomfort inside you that you barely recognize how much of your life has become centered around avoiding what your heart already knows. You stay busy constantly. You fill your mind with noise the moment silence appears. You move from one distraction to another because deep down, you are afraid of what will surface if you finally sit still long enough to listen to your own spirit. I see how quickly you reach for anything that keeps you from feeling fully present with yourself. Sometimes it is endless scrolling late into the night. Sometimes it is overworking until your body feels exhausted. Sometimes it is entertainment, unhealthy attachments, emotional dependence, or habits you quietly justify because they temporarily numb the heaviness inside you. You tell yourself you are coping, but your soul knows the difference between healing and escape. Please stop running from yourself, my child. Come closer and let your heart breathe honestly for a moment. You already feel the emptiness these distractions leave behind once the temporary comfort fades. You already know how quickly the peace disappears afterward. It is why the restlessness keeps returning stronger than before. You cannot silence spiritual exhaustion with temporary relief. You cannot heal your heart by constantly teaching it to avoid truth. There are conversations you keep postponing with yourself because they feel uncomfortable. There are patterns you defend even though they continue draining your peace. You have learned how to function while emotionally tired, but functioning is not the same as living freely. I never created you to survive through endless emotional noise while quietly feeling disconnected inside. I am not asking you to carry shame over your struggles. I want you to stop hiding from the deeper condition of your heart. Open the door you keep trying to lock. Invite honesty into the places you usually avoid. Sit with your thoughts without immediately searching for another distraction to rescue you from discomfort. Let yourself recognize what has truly been hurting you beneath the surface. You keep hoping your peace will return while continuing the same cycles that slowly drain your spirit. That is why I am calling your attention back now. Not to condemn you, but to wake you gently before numbness hardens your heart even further. Your soul is craving something real, something deeper than temporary comfort. You feel it every time the noise fades and the emptiness returns. Come to me instead of reaching for another escape. Let me show you what true peace feels like again. Release the habits that leave your spirit heavier afterward. Step away from the constant distractions long enough to hear your own heart clearly. Healing begins the moment you stop numbing what your soul has been trying to reveal to you all along. My child, I know how overwhelmed you have been feeling lately. There are moments when it seems like pressure follows you everywhere you go. Even simple things feel heavier than they used to. Your mind rarely rests completely, and your heart feels stretched thin from carrying so much internally while trying to remain composed outwardly. You keep asking yourself why everything feels so intense all at once, but I need you to understand that not all pressure is meaningless. Some of what you are feeling comes from the weight of avoiding truths your spirit has recognized for a long time. You have been trying to carry responsibilities, emotions, relationships, and expectations that no longer fit the condition of your heart. Instead of slowing down and listening carefully, you kept forcing yourself forward, hoping the pressure would eventually disappear on its own. But pressure often increases when your soul knows something important must change. Look closely at what has been exhausting you the most. Notice the situations that leave you emotionally drained every single time. Pay attention to the thoughts that repeatedly steal your peace the moment you wake up in the morning. Your spirit has been reacting to things your mind keeps trying to normalize. You have convinced yourself that constant anxiety, emotional fatigue, and internal tension are simply part of life now, but I never intended for your heart to live trapped beneath that weight. Stop carrying everything alone as though you were built to survive without rest, guidance, or peace. You were not created to constantly function under emotional pressure while silently falling apart inside. Come closer to me and let yourself admit where you are truly struggling. Lay down the need to appear strong all the time. Release the fear that honesty makes you weak. There is courage in finally acknowledging what has been hurting your spirit instead of pretending you can endlessly endure it. I know part of you fears what change might require. You worry about disappointing people, letting go of familiar patterns, or stepping away from situations you spent years trying to hold together. But listen carefully to me now. Some pressure exists because your soul can no longer comfortably remain where it once settled. You are feeling the tension between what is draining your spirit and what your heart truly needs to heal. Do not ignore the season. Do not rush to numb the pressure again with distractions that only offer temporary relief. Slow down. Breathe deeply. Invite me into the areas you keep trying to manage by yourself. Let this pressure teach you where your life has become emotionally crowded and spiritually exhausted. I am not trying to crush you beneath the weight you feel. I am trying to lead you toward freedom before the burden becomes too heavy for your spirit to carry any longer. My child, one reason you keep feeling unsettled is because I have been trying to speak to you through moments you almost dismissed as ordinary. You expected my voice to arrive through something dramatic, unmistakable, impossible to ignore. But many times, I speak quietly first. I reach toward your heart through small interruptions, unexpected pauses, uneasy thoughts, and moments of stillness that seem insignificant until you finally look back and realize I was there the entire time. Think about the nights when sleep would not come easily because your mind suddenly became heavy with thoughts you usually avoid during the day. Remember the moments when something inside you whispered that certain choices, relationships, or habits were slowly hurting your spirit even while everything appeared normal outwardly. I was there. That inner discomfort was not random anxiety. It was your soul responding to truth before your mind was willing to fully accept it. I have spoken to you through exhaustion that no amount of rest could completely fix. I have spoken through conversations that left you emotionally drained instead of strengthened. I have spoken through the strange emptiness you felt after chasing things you thought would finally satisfy your heart. There were moments when you sensed you needed to slow down, step back, or change direction, but you kept pushing past those warnings because you were afraid of what honesty might require from you. Please stop brushing these moments aside so quickly. Pay attention to what repeatedly unsettles your spirit. Notice what steals your peace long after everyone else seems unaffected by it. Your heart recognizes things before your circumstances fully reveal them. That is why you keep feeling tension in places where you once felt comfortable. Something inside you already knows you cannot continue living disconnected from your peace without eventually breaking down emotionally. Come closer now and listen carefully. Sit quietly for a while without reaching for another distraction. Let your thoughts settle enough for your spirit to speak honestly again. Invite me into the hidden places you keep avoiding. Stop running from conviction every time it surfaces. Conviction is not rejection, my child. It is my hand trying to guide you away from deeper pain before it settles permanently into your life. You do not need to wait for disaster before you finally listen. You do not need everything to collapse before recognizing the warning signs already appearing around you. I have been gentle because I love you. I have been patient because I know how difficult change can feel when fear keeps pulling at your heart. But do not ignore these small moments any longer. What seems small now can become much heavier later if left unaddressed. Let yourself acknowledge what your spirit has been sensing for a long time. Stop silencing your inner awareness every time it rises. I am speaking more often than you realize. The question is whether you are finally willing to slow down enough to truly hear me. I have been speaking through small moments, and even now I am moving through this message to reach hearts that are quietly crying out for help. Some are one warning away from turning back toward life, and your act of giving can place that warning directly before them at the exact moment they need it most. Every super thanks, every membership, and every gift through the PayPal link in the video description becomes like bread multiplied in my hands to feed weary souls across the world. My child, when you sow into what carries truth, you are not losing. You are planting seeds into eternal ground where the harvest cannot be stolen. I told you in my word that those who water others will themselves be refreshed, and I am releasing that blessing over those who respond faithfully now. Do not call this small, because rivers begin with drops and revival begins with willing hearts. The enemy fights hardest against messages that expose darkness and awaken sleeping spirits. Therefore act now. Support this work boldly and become part of the light I am sending into places the world has forgotten. My child, there are things in your life that have been quietly draining your spirit for far too long, and deep down, you already know exactly what some of them are. You feel the effect every time your heart grows heavy after certain conversations. You notice it when peace disappears the moment you enter certain environments. You carry it home with you after pretending to tolerate situations that have slowly been exhausting you emotionally. Yet instead of addressing the damage honestly, you keep telling yourself you can manage it a little longer. I need you to stop doing that to yourself. Stop calling survival peace. Stop convincing yourself that constant emotional exhaustion is normal. Your spirit was never created to live under endless tension while pretending everything is fine. Some of the heaviness you feel lately is coming from the simple truth that your soul can no longer comfortably carry what has been draining it. There are relationships where you give endlessly while receiving very little care in return. There are habits that temporarily distract you but leave your heart emptier afterward. There are patterns you repeat because they feel familiar, even though they quietly pull you farther from peace every time. I know part of you fears what change might cost. You worry about disappointing people. You fear loneliness. You fear stepping away from what has become emotionally familiar, even if it hurts you. But listen carefully to me now. Familiar pain is still pain. You cannot heal while continuing to sit inside the very things wounding your spirit. At some point, you must become honest about what keeps leaving your soul tired. Pay attention to the people, places, and patterns that constantly steal your peace. Notice how your body dies around certain environments. Notice how your thoughts grow darker after specific conversations. Your spirit has been warning you repeatedly, but you keep overriding it because you do not want to face the discomfort of necessary change. Come closer to me now instead of clinging to what is draining you. Let go of the belief that protecting your peace makes you selfish. It does not. You cannot pour endlessly from a soul that is already exhausted. You cannot continue sacrificing your emotional and spiritual well-being just to keep others comfortable around you. Take a breath and ask yourself honestly what has been slowly wearing your heart down. Stop avoiding the answer the moment it surfaces. Invite clarity into your life instead of constantly choosing denial because it feels easier temporarily. I am trying to guide you away from what keeps harming your spirit before the damage becomes even deeper. You deserve peace, my child. Not temporary distraction. Not emotional survival. Real peace. But you must stop ignoring the things that are quietly stealing it from you day after day. My child, I need you to understand something clearly before fear convinces you otherwise. The warning you have been feeling is not proof that I have turned away from you. It is not rejection. It is not punishment. If I were finished with you, I would stop speaking to your heart altogether. The fact that conviction still stirs inside you is evidence that I am still reaching for you, still protecting you, still calling you back toward peace before deeper damage settles into your life. You keep interpreting discomfort as abandonment because you expected my love to always feel soft and comforting. But real love warns when danger is near. Real love interrupts harmful patterns instead of silently watching someone drift farther into pain. That is what I have been doing with you. I have been trying to wake you gently before exhaustion, distraction, unhealthy attachments, and emotional emptiness harden into a life you no longer recognize. Please stop believing the lie that your struggles make you unwanted by me. I see your confusion. I see the habits you hide from others. I see the moments when you feel ashamed of how emotionally distant you have become from yourself. Yet I have not stepped away from you. I am still here speaking directly to your heart because you matter deeply to me. Do not run from my conviction, as though it exists to destroy you. Let it guide you toward honesty instead. Come closer now and stop hiding behind performance. You do not need to pretend strength with me. You do not need perfect words, perfect discipline, or perfect emotions before approaching me honestly. Bring me the exhausted parts of you. Bring me the confusion, the fear, the weariness you keep carrying privately. Open your heart instead of shutting down every time truth becomes uncomfortable. I know you have spent a long time carrying silent guilt. Some of it came from mistakes you regret. Some of it came from believing you disappointed me beyond repair. But listen carefully to me now. Admitting is different from condemnation. Condemnation pushes you deeper into hopelessness. Conviction invites you back toward healing. One voice tells you to hide. The other tells you to come closer and finally become honest. Do not mistake my warning for rejection. I am trying to rescue your peace before you lose yourself completely in emotional survival. I am trying to pull you away from patterns that slowly empty your spirit. I am trying to remind you that your soul was never meant to live trapped beneath constant heaviness and quiet despair. Stay with me here for a moment. Breathe deeply and let yourself believe that I am still reaching for you, even now. You are not too far gone. You are not disqualified from healing. You are being warned because you are loved, and love refuses to stay silent while someone precious slowly loses their way. My child, you have carried emotional exhaustion for so long that you barely recognize how heavy your spirit has become. What once would have deeply disturbed your heart now feels normal simply because you have adapted to surviving under constant pressure. You wake up tired before the day even begins. Your thoughts rarely feel quiet. Even moments that should bring peace often leave you emotionally disconnected instead. Yet you keep pushing yourself forward because stopping feels unfamiliar now. I need you to stop and pay attention to what this exhaustion has been doing to your heart. You have slowly learned how to function while emotionally drained, but functioning is not the same as living freely. You smile during conversations while carrying heaviness nobody notices. You continue meeting responsibilities while privately feeling overwhelmed inside. You tell yourself you just need more rest, more time, or less stress. But the deeper problem is that your soul has been neglected for far too long. Come closer to me now and stop treating your exhaustion as though it is simply part of your personality. Your spirit was never designed to constantly live under emotional weight without healing, stillness, and peace. There are things you continue tolerating that quietly wear your heart down day after day. Some relationships leave you emotionally depleted every time you interact with them. Certain habits numb you temporarily but leave your spirit emptier afterward. You keep overriding your inner exhaustion because you are afraid of slowing down long enough to fully feel it. Please do not ignore your soul any longer. Listen carefully to the weariness inside you instead of silencing it with more distractions. Your exhaustion is trying to tell you something important. Your heart has been carrying burdens it was never meant to carry alone. You keep absorbing pressure from everyone around you while giving yourself almost no space to heal, reflect, or breathe honestly. I know part of you fears disappointing people if you stop constantly giving, fixing, helping, or proving yourself. But you cannot continue pouring from an empty spirit forever. Even now, your body, mind, and emotions are warning you that something needs to change. Pay attention before emotional exhaustion hardens into hopelessness. Sit quietly with me for a moment and let your soul exhale. Release the pressure to appear fine all the time. Lay down the need to constantly perform strength for others while privately feeling worn thin inside. I am not asking you to become perfect overnight. I am asking you to finally acknowledge how deeply tired you truly are. You deserve more than survival, my child. You deserve peace that reaches deeper than temporary distraction. But first, you must stop pretending your exhaustion is normal and allow yourself to admit that your spirit has been crying out for healing far longer than you wanted to face. My child, I see the version of you that everyone else applauds. I see the smile you wear during conversations even when your heart feels heavy underneath it. I see how often you reassure other people that you are fine while quietly carrying exhaustion nobody fully notices. You have become skilled at hiding your pain behind responsibility, humor, patience, and routine. Most people around you only see the composed version of you. But I see what happens after the conversations end and the silence returns. You have spent so much energy making sure others feel comfortable that you barely stop to ask yourself how your own soul is surviving. You keep showing up for people even when your spirit feels completely drained. You keep listening, helping, encouraging, fixing, and carrying burdens while secretly wishing someone would notice how tired you really are. Yet instead of admitting your weariness honestly, You push yourself harder because you fear disappointing others if you finally slow down. Come here for a moment and stop pretending you are endless. You are not weak because you feel emotionally exhausted. You are human, my child. Your heart was never designed to carry constant emotional weight without rest, honesty, and care. But somewhere along the way, you started believing your value depended on how much you could endure silently. That belief had been crushing your spirit little by little. I know there are nights when you feel emotionally empty even after spending the entire day surrounded by people. You give pieces of yourself away constantly, but very few truly see the depth of what you carry inside. Sometimes you even feel guilty for being tired because you compare your struggles to everyone else's. Stop doing that. Your pain matters too. Your exhaustion deserves attention too. Do not minimize your own suffering simply because you learned how to hide it well. Please let yourself become honest now. Stop performing strength every moment of your life. Stop forcing smiles when your soul desperately needs rest. Invite me into the places you usually protect behind silence. Let yourself admit where you feel overwhelmed instead of endlessly carrying it alone. There is no freedom in constantly pretending you are okay while your spirit quietly breaks beneath the surface. You do not have to earn rest by collapsing first. You do not need to reach complete emotional burnout before allowing yourself to slow down and breathe again. Sit with me here and release the pressure to keep proving your worth through endless endurance. I already know your value. I already see your heart beneath the performance you show the world. The version of you that keeps everyone else comfortable is tired, my child. Deeply tired. Stop ignoring that reality. Listen to your soul before exhaustion hardens into hopelessness. Let yourself rest honestly, heal honestly, and speak honestly. You do not need to carry this weight alone anymore. The version of you that has carried everyone else is tired, but hear me clearly. Your compassion still carries power in my kingdom. Even through your exhaustion, I can use your generosity to lift another soul that feels ready to give up tonight. This message is reaching broken hearts because I have breathed upon it like fire upon dry bones, and those who support this mission become part of that miracle of restoration. When you give through super thanks, membership, or through the PayPal link in the video description, you are helping pour fresh oil into lamps that were close to burning out. My child, I see every sacrifice made in secret, and I promise that what is sown faithfully will return multiplied in ways no earthly system can explain. Do not believe the lie that your offering is insignificant, because even the widow's small gift moved heaven when placed in my hands. There are souls waiting for confirmation that they are not alone, and your obedience can help carry that answer directly to them. So do not delay any longer. Give now. Strengthen this mission, and let your seed become part of someone else's healing. My child, part of the confusion overwhelming your mind right now exists because you have spent too long ignoring what your spirit has already been trying to tell you. You keep searching for clarity while refusing to fully acknowledge the truths quietly rising inside you. Your thoughts feel tangled because your heart and your actions have been moving in different directions for a long time. Deep down, there are things you already sense clearly, but fear keeps convincing you to postpone facing them honestly. I see how exhausted your mind has become from constantly overthinking everything. You replay conversations repeatedly. You analyze situations from every possible angle. You ask yourself endless questions hoping certainty will suddenly appear. But clarity rarely grows louder while you continue silencing your own inner conviction. Your spirit hath been speaking softly for a long time, yet every time truth begins surfacing, you distract yourself before fully sitting with it. Stop running from what you already feel inside. Slow down and pay attention to the tension you keep carrying. There are decisions you know are draining your peace. There are environments where your soul no longer feels safe or alive. There are patterns you continue repeating even though your heart quietly resists them every time. Yet you keep searching for external confirmation because accepting the truth would require change, and change feels frightening to you. Come closer now and let your spirit speak honestly without interruption. Put down the endless noise for a moment. Stop asking everyone else what you should do while ignoring the warnings already stirring inside your own heart. I place discernment within you for a reason. That uneasy feeling you keep trying to rationalize away exists because your soul recognizes what your emotions are still struggling to release. You do not need to force clarity through constant mental pressure. Sometimes peace begins returning the moment you finally stop resisting what your spirit already knows. Invite honesty into your life instead of endlessly searching for more distractions. Sit quietly with your thoughts. Listen carefully to what keeps resurfacing no matter how hard you try to avoid it. Truth tends to return repeatedly when it has been ignored for too long. I am not trying to confuse you, my child. I am trying to guide you gently toward alignment again. Your spirit grows restless whenever you continue living against what your heart knows is necessary for healing. That inner tension is not there to punish you. It exists to wake you before emotional exhaustion completely clouds your ability to recognize peace anymore. Stop overriding your spirit every time it warns you. Trust the discomfort that keeps returning. Let it guide you toward honesty instead of denial. Your confusion will begin lifting the moment you stop fighting the truths your soul has been carrying quietly all along. My child, whether you fully realize it yet or not, you are standing at a turning point in your life right now. Something inside you already feels it. The way you think has started changing. The things you once tolerated no longer sit comfortably in your spirit. Certain distractions that used to numb you do not satisfy you the same way anymore. You keep trying to move forward like everything is unchanged, but your soul knows you cannot continue living exactly as you have been. A shift is happening inside you, and that shift is asking you to make a decision. Do not ignore this moment. Stop brushing past the quiet urgency you feel in your heart. The choices you make now will shape far more than your next few weeks or months. Your direction matters deeply because every small compromise slowly becomes part of the life you eventually wake up inside. That is why I am calling you to pay attention before temporary comfort leads you farther away from peace. I know part of you feels afraid. Change always unsettles the heart before it frees it. You worry about what you may need to release, what conversations may need to happen, what habits may need to end, and what parts of yourself can no longer continue pretending everything is fine. But listen carefully to me now. Staying emotionally stuck simply because change feels uncomfortable will cost you more than honesty ever will. Come closer and look at your life truthfully for a moment. Notice what keeps draining your spirit. Notice what repeatedly leaves you anxious, empty, or emotionally exhausted. Stop trying to convince yourself that surviving is enough. Your heart was created for more than endless emotional survival. You were not meant to carry quiet despair while pretending outwardly that everything is under control. This turning point is not here to destroy your life, my child. It is here to interrupt patterns that have slowly been stealing your peace. Some things must change because your soul can no longer grow inside the same emotional environment that has been suffocating it. You already feel the tension between who you have become and who your spirit is trying to become instead. Do not rush away from this moment. Sit with me here honestly. Lay down the distractions and excuses for a while. Let yourself admit what your heart has been trying to say beneath all the noise. There is still time to choose healing. There is still time to stop walking in circles emotionally. But you cannot step into peace while continuing to ignore the direction your soul has been begging you to take. You are not trapped, my child. You are being invited into something deeper, healthier, and more honest. Take the invitation seriously. This moment matters more than you realize. My child, one of the most dangerous things you keep telling yourself is that you still have plenty of time before you need to change anything. You keep waiting for a bigger sign, a louder warning, or some dramatic collapse before taking seriously what your spirit has already been trying to tell you quietly for a long time. But wisdom listens before destruction arrives. Wisdom pays attention while the warning is still gentle. I need you to stop convincing yourself that things are not bad enough yet. That mindset has kept you emotionally stuck longer than you realize. You notice the exhaustion building inside you. You recognize how certain habits, relationships, thoughts, and environments continue draining your peace. You feel the growing distance between your spirit and the life your heart truly longs for. Yet instead of responding honestly, you keep postponing necessary change because outwardly, everything has not completely fallen apart yet. Please hear me clearly now. Not every warning arrives after devastation. Sometimes love speaks early so pain does not have to become permanent. I am trying to reach you before emotional exhaustion becomes hopelessness. Before unhealthy patterns harden into identity. Before the life you are tolerating quietly steals your joy piece by piece. Do not wait until your heart completely breaks before acknowledging what had been hurting it all along. Come closer and stop resisting the truth that keeps resurfacing inside you. You already know where your peace has been disappearing. You already know which situations leave your spirit feeling heavy afterward. Stop pretending confusion exists where honesty has already spoken. Some things in your life require attention now, not later. Delayed healing still leaves the wound open. I know why you hesitate. Part of you fears the discomfort that honesty creates. You worry about losing familiar things, disappointing people, or stepping into uncertainty. But remaining emotionally trapped because familiarity feels safer will slowly drain the life from your spirit. You were never meant to spend your days merely enduring life while quietly feeling disconnected inside. Sit with me for a moment without reaching for another distraction. Let your heart become still enough to recognize how much energy you have spent avoiding what needs attention. You do not need to wait for complete collapse before choosing peace. You do not need to hit emotional rock bottom before listening to your soul. Take the warning seriously while there is still softness in your heart to receive it. Turn toward healing now instead of later. Release the belief that you can endlessly ignore your spirit without consequences. Your peace matters too much for that. I am not trying to frighten you, my child. I am trying to protect you before the damage becomes deeper than it ever needed to be. My child, there are many moments in your life that frustrated you deeply because you could only see what was being taken away, delayed, or interrupted. You looked at closed doors and assumed you were being forgotten. You watched plans collapse and thought your future was slipping through your hands. You questioned why certain relationships ended, why opportunities disappeared suddenly, and why paths you worked so hard for seemed to vanish right in front of you. But there are things I protected you from that you still cannot fully see. You often judge situations by what feels good in the moment, but I see far beyond the moment itself. I see where certain roads eventually lead. I see the hidden damage behind what appears attractive on the surface. There were people you desperately wanted to keep close who would have slowly broken your spirit over time. There were situations you begged me to allow that carried consequences your heart was not prepared to survive. You called some of those losses unfair, but many of them were rescue disguised as disappointment. Please stop assuming every interruption means your life is moving backward. Some detours protected you from storms you never even noticed forming ahead. You have no idea how many times I kept you from deeper heartbreak, emotional destruction, or decisions that would have left lasting wounds on your soul. There were moments when you felt angry because things did not unfold according to your plans. Yet if I had allowed everything you wanted immediately, you would have carried pain far heavier than the disappointment you experienced instead. Come here for a moment and breathe. Let your heart soften enough to consider that not every unanswered prayer was rejection. Some prayers were answered through protection instead of permission. Some delays existed because your spirit needed time to grow stronger before stepping into what was ahead. You wanted immediate relief, but I was guarding your future while you only focused on the present moment. I know it is difficult for you to trust what you cannot fully understand. Your mind keeps returning to what could have been. You replay missed opportunities and lost connections while wondering whether you somehow failed. But stop carrying unnecessary guilt for things I intentionally removed from your path. Release the belief that every loss means you were unworthy. Sometimes love protects by refusing access to what would quietly destroy your peace later. Pay attention now to how many times your spirit eventually found relief after something painful ended. Notice how certain situations drained your soul long before they disappeared. You sensed the tension even while trying desperately to hold everything together. Your heart already knew what your emotions resisted accepting. I have not abandoned you, my child. I have been guarding you more than you realize. Trust my protection even when it arrives through uncomfortable endings. One day you will look back and understand why certain doors needed to close before they had the chance to completely break you. I have protected you from more than you realize, and now I am inviting you to help protect others who are standing at dangerous crossroads in their own lives. Many hearts are one step away from despair, deception, or spiritual collapse, yet I am still sending warnings, truth, and hope through messages like this before deeper damage takes hold. Every super thanks, every membership, and every offering through the PayPal link in the video description helps carry my voice farther into places filled with confusion and darkness. My child, when you sow into this work, you become like a watchman lighting torches along a narrow path so wandering souls can find their way home before night fully falls. I declared in my word that those who honor me with their substance will see their storehouses overflow, and I am breathing favor upon those who respond with willing hearts. Do not overlook this moment, because divine opportunities often arrive disguised as simple acts of obedience. The enemy wants people isolated, distracted, and spiritually asleep, but I am raising messengers to interrupt that darkness now. Therefore move quickly, support this mission today, and let your giving become part of the protection I extend to others. My child, there are moments when you look at your life and quietly convince yourself that nothing ever seems to work out for you. You call it bad luck. You tell yourself that somehow everyone else moves forward while you remain stuck facing setbacks, delays, disappointments, and frustration after frustration. But I need you to pause and look deeper before labeling every interruption as failure. Some of the things you call misfortune were actually mercy standing in the way of paths that would have harmed you more than you realize. You became so focused on immediate outcomes that you stopped considering what certain situations would have eventually done to your spirit. You only saw the excitement of the opportunity, the attachment to the relationship, or the comfort of familiarity. I saw the hidden exhaustion waiting behind it. I saw the compromise it would slowly pull you into. I saw the emotional weight it would eventually place on your heart. That is why some things fell apart even while you were fighting desperately to hold them together. Please stop measuring my protection only by whether life feels easy. Some of my greatest acts of love in your life arrived through redirection, not reward. There were moments when your plans suddenly collapsed because I refused to let your future be built upon something quietly destroying your peace. You viewed certain endings as punishment while I viewed them as rescue. You mourned doors that closed without realizing what darkness existed behind them. Come closer and think honestly about the situations you once begged to keep. Some of them already left your spirit anxious before they disappeared. Some people drained your energy every time you spoke with them. Certain habits slowly stole your peace while pretending to comfort you temporarily. Yet because those things felt familiar, you kept trying to preserve them even while your soul quietly suffered underneath the surface. I know it hurts when life does not unfold according to your expectations. I know disappointment can make your heart question whether I still care for you. But do not let frustration blind you to the ways I have already been protecting your future. You are standing here today because certain paths were interrupted before they completely consumed you. You survived storms you never fully noticed because I blocked doors before danger reached you. Stop speaking over your life as though you are cursed, forgotten, or unlucky. Your story is not ruined simply because everything did not happen the way you imagined. Trust me enough to believe that some endings were necessary for your healing. Trust me enough to release what your spirit already knew was hurting you. Look carefully at your life now, my child. Notice how many times relief eventually followed the very situations you once begged me not to change. That was not bad luck. That was protection. That was love refusing to let you settle into a future that would have quietly stolen the peace your soul desperately needed. My child, one of the deepest wounds you keep carrying is the pressure to appear okay even when your spirit feels exhausted inside. You have learned how to answer questions with a smile while your heart quietly struggles beneath the surface. You tell people you are doing fine because it feels easier than explaining the heaviness you cannot fully put into words. Over time, you became so used to hiding your pain that even you started forgetting how deeply wounded certain parts of you really are. I need you to stop pretending for a moment and sit honestly with yourself. Healing cannot grow inside a heart that is constantly forced to perform strength. You cannot recover while endlessly convincing yourself that your exhaustion is normal. There are emotions you buried because you feared becoming a burden. There are disappointments you never fully processed because life kept moving too quickly. There are wounds you covered with distractions, responsibilities, and routine instead of allowing yourself to truly heal from them. Come closer now and let your heart breathe without pretending. I already see the sadness you hide from everyone else. I see the moments when you feel emotionally drained after giving so much of yourself away. I see the nights when your thoughts become heavy because you are carrying pain you never allowed yourself to fully acknowledge. You keep functioning outwardly, but inwardly your spirit has been quietly asking for rest, honesty, and care. Please stop believing that vulnerability makes you weak. There is strength in truth. There is freedom in finally admitting where you feel hurt instead of endlessly suppressing it. You were never meant to carry emotional pain in silence forever. Yet you became so focused on surviving that you forgot your soul also needs healing, not just endurance. I know part of you fears what might happen if you stop holding everything together perfectly. You worry people may not understand. You fear feeling exposed, emotional, or uncertain. But continuing to hide your wounds will only deepen the exhaustion already sitting inside your spirit. Unhealed pain does not disappear simply because you ignore it. It quietly shakes the way you think, love, trust, and live until one day you barely recognize yourself anymore. Sit with me here for a while and release the pressure to appear unbreakable. Let yourself acknowledge what hurts. Speak honestly about the things that left scars on your heart. Stop minimizing your pain just because you learned how to carry it quietly. Your healing matters deeply to me. You do not need to impress me with strength, my child. I am inviting you into honesty. Open the places you keep locked away. Bring me the exhaustion, the grief, the fear, and the sadness you hide behind your smile. Healing begins the moment you stop pretending you are fine and finally allow your soul to be seen truthfully. My child, there is fear sitting quietly inside your heart that you rarely talk about openly. Most people around you would never fully notice it because you learned how to continue functioning while carrying it. You move through conversations normally. You complete responsibilities. You smile when needed. Yet underneath everything, there is a constant tension inside you, a fear that something will fall apart, someone will leave, or life will suddenly become heavier than you can handle. I see how often your mind races ahead trying to prepare for pain before it even arrives. You overthink situations because you are afraid of being caught off guard emotionally. You replay conversations wondering whether you disappointed someone. You struggle to fully relax because part of you keeps expecting bad news, rejection, failure, or loss. Even during peaceful moments, your heart sometimes stays guarded because fear has convinced you that peace never lasts long. Come closer and listen carefully to me now. You do not have to live trapped beneath constant emotional tension. Fear has been quietly shaping your decisions longer than you realize. It keeps you holding on to unhealthy situations because uncertainty feels frightening. It keeps you emotionally guarded even when your soul longs for deeper peace and connection. It convinces you to expect disappointment before joy fully has the chance to enter your heart. Please stop carrying these fears alone. Stop pretending they are simply part of your personality. Your spirit grows exhausted when fear becomes the voice guiding your life. I know some of this fear was born from real pain. Certain experiences taught you how quickly things can change. Some heartbreaks left wounds that still affect the way you trust people, trust yourself, and even trust your future. But my child, your past pain does not have to control every step ahead of you. Sit with me for a moment and breathe deeply. Let your shoulders relax. Release the pressure to control every possible outcome. You were never meant to carry tomorrow's fears while still trying to survive today emotionally. Fear will keep draining your peace if you continue feeding it with endless worry and overthinking. Invite me into the anxious places inside your heart instead of hiding them behind constant distraction. Speak honestly about what scares you. Admit where you feel fragile. There is no shame in that. Healing begins when fear finally stops ruling silently from the shadows of your mind. You deserve peace deeper than survival mode, my child. You deserve rest from the constant tension fear has created inside you. But you must stop allowing fear to quietly shape your entire emotional world. Let me teach your heart how to breathe freely again instead of always bracing for pain before it arrives. My child, one of the greatest dangers in your life right now is not loud destruction. It is quiet distraction. You keep imagining that losing yourself would happen suddenly through some dramatic collapse, but most hearts drift away slowly. Little by little. Thought by thought. Habit by habit. That is why you barely noticed how far your peace has slipped from you over time. Distraction does not always look harmful at first. Sometimes it looks comfortable, entertaining, familiar, or harmless enough to keep around. But while your attention stays consumed by noise, your spirit slowly grows weaker underneath it all. I see how often your mind stays crowded now. Even when your body is resting, your thoughts rarely stop moving. You fill every quiet moment immediately because silence has become uncomfortable for you. The moment your heart starts trying to speak honestly, another distraction pulls your attention away. Endless scrolling, constant noise, emotional attachments, temporary escapes. You keep reaching for things that occupy your mind because you are afraid of what you may finally hear if your spirit becomes still long enough. Come closer and listen carefully to me now. Not everything distracting you is helping you heal. Some things are only keeping you emotionally numb long enough to avoid facing deeper truths. You tell yourself you are relaxing, but your soul still feels restless afterward. You tell yourself you are coping, but the heaviness keeps returning because distraction can delay pain temporarily without actually healing it. Please stop giving every part of your attention away while neglecting your spirit completely. Your heart needs more than constant stimulation. It needs truth. It needs stillness. It needs room to breathe honestly again. You were not created to spend your entire life emotionally scattered and spiritually disconnected from yourself. I know some distractions entered your life because you were trying to survive difficult emotions. I understand why you reached for comfort when your heart felt overwhelmed. But my child, comfort becomes dangerous when it slowly separates you from peace instead of leading you toward it. Pay attention to what leaves your spirit emptier after the moment passes. Notice what steals hours from your life while quietly draining your emotional strength. Sit with me for a while without immediately searching for another escape. Turn down the noise around you. Let your thoughts settle enough for your spirit to speak honestly again. Stop feeding distractions that keep pulling your attention away from the healing your heart desperately needs. The enemy does not always need to destroy your life loudly if he can quietly keep you distracted long enough to forget who you are becoming. Do not let your soul disappear beneath endless noise. Wake up, my child. Your peace matters too much to lose it one distraction at a time. The enemy has tried to drown this generation in endless noise, but I am still calling my children to awaken before distraction steals their peace completely. That is why this message matters so deeply, my child, because every time it reaches another heart, chains begin breaking that people did not even realize were binding them. Your support through Super Thanks, membership, or through the PayPal link in the video description helps send this warning like a trumpet sounding before spiritual sleep becomes spiritual ruin. Those who sow into my work are helping pour living water into dry places where souls have been starving silently for truth. Did I not say that those who shine light in darkness will be like stars forever? I am speaking that promise over every faithful giver who chooses obedience over hesitation today. This is not merely support for a video. It is participation in a harvest of souls while time still remains. Refuse to stay passive, while so many are losing themselves one distraction at a time. Act now, give boldly, and help carry my voice to the hearts that need this warning before it is too late. My child, part of the exhaustion you carry comes from how often you abandon your own emotional boundaries just to keep peace with everyone else. You keep giving pieces of yourself away while quietly ignoring how deeply drained your spirit has become. You say yes when your heart is already overwhelmed. You tolerate behaviors that wound you because you fear conflict, rejection, or disappointing people. Over time, you became so focused on protecting everyone else's comfort that you stopped protecting your own peace. I see how often you silence your feelings just to avoid tension. There are moments when your spirit clearly tells you something feels wrong, but instead of listening, you convince yourself to endure it a little longer. You keep refusing disrespect. You keep overextending yourself emotionally. You keep allowing certain people access to your heart even after they repeatedly leave you feeling exhausted, anxious, or emotionally small afterward. Please stop ignoring what your spirit has been trying to tell you. Your boundaries matter, my child. They are not selfish. They are necessary. You cannot continue pouring endlessly into situations that constantly drain your peace while expecting your spirit to remain healthy. Every time you betray your own emotional limits just to keep others comfortable, something inside you grows more tired. Come here for a moment and breathe deeply. Release the pressure to constantly prove your worth through endless sacrifice. You were never meant to carry everyone's emotional burdens while neglecting your own soul completely. Some people have become comfortable taking from you because you rarely stop them. Some situations continue hurting you because you keep overriding your inner warnings out of fear that choosing yourself might disappoint someone else. Listen carefully now. Protecting your peace is not cruelty. Walking away from what repeatedly harms your spirit is not weakness. You are allowed to step back from environments that leave your heart heavy. You are allowed to say no when your soul feels overwhelmed. You are allowed to create distance from people who constantly drain your emotional strength without caring for your well-being in return. I know part of you fears loneliness if you stop overgiving yourself to everyone around you. But continuing to abandon your own needs will slowly empty your spirit until you barely recognize yourself anymore. You cannot heal while constantly sacrificing your emotional safety just to avoid uncomfortable conversations or temporary disappointment. Invite honesty into your relationships now. Pay attention to how your spirit feels around certain people. Stop dismissing the exhaustion that follows repeated emotional overextension. Your heart deserves care too, my child. Your peace deserves protection too. Start listening to your boundaries before your spirit becomes too exhausted to recognize what healthy peace even feels like anymore. My child, there are things surrounding your life right now that no longer belong in the season your spirit is trying to enter. You feel this more than you admit to yourself. Certain relationships no longer bring peace into your heart. Some habits that once comforted you now leave you emotionally empty afterward. Even environments you used to tolerate comfortably have started making your spirit feel heavy and restless. You keep trying to force yourself to stay connected to things that no longer fit who you are becoming, and that tension inside you keeps growing stronger because your soul already knows change is necessary. I need you to stop ignoring the discomfort. Stop convincing yourself that you must keep everything simply because it hath been familiar for a long time. Familiarity does not always mean alignment. Some people were only meant to walk with you for part of your journey. Some habits survived in your life only because you were emotionally exhausted and searching for relief wherever you could find it. But now your spirit is waking up, and what once felt acceptable no longer sits peacefully inside you. Come closer and listen honestly to your own heart. Pay attention to what consistently drains your peace. Notice which conversations leave your spirit feeling anxious afterward. Notice the environments where you feel emotionally smaller instead of stronger. You keep hoping certain things will suddenly change while your soul quietly continues suffering underneath the surface. But my child, healing sometimes requires release. You cannot carry every unhealthy attachment into the next chapter of your life without damaging your spirit along the way. I know letting go frightens you. You worry about loneliness. You fear disappointing people. You fear the uncertainty that follows endings. But holding on to what keeps wounding your peace will eventually cost you far more than temporary discomfort ever could. Some things must leave your life so your spirit can finally breathe again. Please stop forcing yourself to remain loyal to what is slowly exhausting your soul. You are not betraying people by protecting your peace. You are not selfish for recognizing when something no longer aligns with the healing your heart desperately needs. There are connections you keep preserving out of guilt even though your spirit feels heavier every time you stay close to them. Sit with me for a while and let your heart become honest without fear. Release the pressure to keep dragging dead weight into your future. Your spirit already recognizes what no longer belongs in your life. Trust that awareness instead of constantly silencing it. I am not removing things to punish you, my child. I am creating room for peace, clarity, and healing to finally grow where exhaustion has lived for far too long. My child, your life has become so full of noise that you barely give your spirit room to breathe anymore. From the moment you wake up until the moment you finally close your eyes at night, something is always demanding your attention. Voices, opinions, worries, distractions, entertainment, responsibilities, notifications, conversations, endless thoughts moving through your mind like rushing water. You have become surrounded by so much constant noise that silence now feels uncomfortable instead of peaceful. That is part of why you struggle to hear me clearly. My voice often reaches your heart, quietly, but your mind rarely slows down long enough to notice it. Every time conviction begins rising inside you, another distraction immediately pulls your attention away. You tell yourself you are staying busy, but much of that busyness has become emotional escape. The noise keeps you from sitting still long enough to fully feel the condition of your own soul. Come closer now and step away from the noise for a moment. Put down the endless distractions. Turn away from the constant flood of voices telling you who you should be, what you should chase, and how you should live. Your spirit is exhausted from trying to process everything all at once. No wonder your heart feels restless. No wonder peace feels distant. You have surrounded yourself with so much mental noise that your soul barely has space to speak honestly anymore. I know why silence feels difficult for you. Silence forces hidden emotions to rise. It brings your fears, disappointments, loneliness, and exhaustion into the open where they can no longer be avoided easily. That is why you instinctively reach for distractions the moment your thoughts become too quiet. But my child, the healing your spirit needs will never fully grow inside constant emotional noise. Sit with me quietly for a while. Let your thoughts settle without immediately searching for another distraction to fill the space. Listen to your breathing. Listen to your heart. Pay attention to what rises inside you once the noise begins fading. There are truths your spirit has been trying to show you for a long time, but they keep getting buried beneath endless mental clutter. You do not need more noise right now. You need clarity. You need stillness. You need peace deep enough to hear your soul again. Stop feeding your mind constant distraction while your spirit quietly starves for truth. Protect your inner peace carefully, because the louder the noise becomes around you, the easier it becomes to slowly lose yourself without even noticing it happening. I am still speaking, my child. I have never stopped. But you must become willing to quiet the noise long enough to finally hear what your spirit has been trying to say all along. My child, there are patterns in your life that keep returning because you still have not fully faced what they are trying to teach you. The same emotional exhaustion appears in different situations. The same kind of disappointment keeps finding its way back into your relationships. The same inner emptiness follows you even after external circumstances change. You keep hoping that a different environment, different people, or different timing will finally fix what your spirit has been carrying unresolved for far too long. But some lessons continue repeating until your heart becomes willing to listen honestly. I need you to stop brushing past these repeating patterns as though they mean nothing. Pay attention to what keeps resurfacing in your life. Notice where your peace consistently disappears. Notice the habits that repeatedly leave you emotionally drained afterward. Notice the fears that quietly shape your decisions over and over again. Your spirit recognizes these cycles even while your mind tries to avoid them. Come closer now and stop running from the deeper truth hiding beneath these repeated struggles. Some of the pain you carry has less to do with circumstances and more to do with wounds that never fully healed. You keep searching outwardly for answers while your soul quietly waits for honesty inwardly. That is why certain lessons keep returning. Your heart cannot heal from what it continues refusing to acknowledge. I know part of you grows frustrated when life feels repetitive emotionally. You wonder why the same struggles keep appearing even when you try so hard to move forward. But my child, healing requires more than movement. It requires awareness. It requires truth. If you keep ignoring what your spirit is trying to show you, the cycle will continue wearing your heart down until exhaustion forces you to finally pay attention. Sit quietly with me for a moment and ask yourself honestly what keeps repeating in your emotional life. Where do you consistently abandon your own peace? What fears continue controlling your choices? What wounds still shape the way you trust, love, react, or protect yourself? Stop distracting yourself the moment these questions become uncomfortable. Stay present with them. Let your soul speak honestly without interruption. You are not trapped in these cycles forever, but you must become willing to learn from them instead of endlessly escaping them. Some patterns remain because they are pointing toward healing you still need. Do not ignore the warning signs simply because they arrive quietly. Every repeated struggle carries an invitation to deeper awareness if you are willing to receive it. I am not trying to shame you through these repeated lessons, my child. I am trying to wake you gently before emotional patterns harden into lifelong chains. Pay attention now while your heart is still soft enough to change. There is freedom waiting on the other side of honesty, but you must stop pretending the repetition means nothing. My child, I am the one who allows patterns to repeat so your soul does not remain asleep in the cycle of avoidance. I tell you now, as the God who sees beyond your moments of frustration, what keeps repeating is also what I am trying to redeem. Be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. For I am speaking even now through your awareness. And I am calling those who hear this word to help carry it further into the hearts of others still trapped in repetition. If this message is breaking cycles in you, then you are already part of the harvest I am gathering. Sow into this work through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal. The link is in the video description. So this light may reach another soul still lost in the same pattern. I will multiply what you place in my hands, and I will turn your seed into deliverance for many. Now obey my voice. Give what I have placed in your heart to give, and do it now. My child, there have been many moments when your spirit recognized danger long before your mind was ready to admit it. You felt the tension inside yourself even while trying to convince everyone around you that things were fine. Deep down, something kept feeling unsettled, but instead of listening carefully, you pushed past the discomfort because accepting the truth would have forced you to make difficult decisions. That is why your exhaustion has continued growing. Your spirit has been carrying warnings your mind keeps trying to silence. I need you to trust what your soul has been sensing. Stop dismissing every uneasy feeling as overthinking. Not every warning arrives through visible disaster. Sometimes your spirit recognizes emotional danger quietly before your circumstances fully reveal it outwardly. You have already experienced this before. There were situations where your heart felt heavy long before things eventually fell apart. There were relationships where peace quietly disappeared even while you kept trying to preserve them. Your spirit knew something was wrong, but fear convinced you to ignore it. Come here for a moment and listen carefully to yourself without immediately rationalizing everything away. Your body tightens around certain people for a reason. Your heart feels drained after certain conversations for a reason. Your peace disappears in certain environments for a reason. Stop overriding your inner discernment simply because you want things to work out comfortably. Comfort without peace will always leave your spirit exhausted eventually. I know part of you hesitates because you fear making the wrong decision. You keep waiting for undeniable proof before trusting what your soul already feels clearly. But my child, your spirit was never meant to live disconnected from your awareness. That inner tension you keep carrying is trying to protect you from deeper emotional harm. Pay attention to it instead of constantly silencing it beneath distractions and excuses. Please stop forcing yourself to remain in situations your spirit keeps warning you about. You were not created to endlessly tolerate emotional heaviness while pretending everything feels normal. There are places where your peace cannot survive long-term no matter how hard you try to adjust yourself to them. Your soul recognizes this even while your emotions resist letting go. Sit quietly with me now and allow your spirit to speak honestly again. Let yourself acknowledge what has repeatedly disturbed your peace. Stop defending what continues draining your heart. Truth does not become less true simply because you postpone facing it. I am trying to guide you gently before emotional exhaustion completely clouds your discernment. Your spirit is not your enemy, my child. It is warning you because your peace matters deeply. Listen before the quiet discomfort you feel today becomes a much heavier pain tomorrow. My child, there is guilt sitting inside your heart that has followed you for much longer than anyone around you realizes. You carry memories you wish you could undo. You replay mistakes in your mind late at night when everything becomes quiet enough for your thoughts to grow loud again. There are moments from your past that still make your spirit feel heavy, and even though time has passed, part of you secretly believes you should continue punishing yourself for what happened. I need you to stop carrying that burden alone. Come closer and listen carefully to me now. Guilt may have started as conviction, but somewhere along the way, it became a chain wrapped tightly around your heart. Instead of learning, healing, and moving forward, you allowed shame to convince you that your failures permanently defined who you are. You became trapped between regret and self-condemnation, constantly revisiting old wounds instead of allowing your soul to heal from them. I know why you struggle to let go. Some of your mistakes hurt people you cared about deeply. Some decisions change parts of your life in ways you cannot reverse. You fear that releasing guilt somehow minimizes the seriousness of what happened. But my child, endless self-punishment does not heal your spirit. It only keeps your heart emotionally trapped inside moments you can no longer change. Please stop reopening wounds that I have already been trying to heal within you. There is a difference between remembering your past and living chained to it. You cannot move toward peace while constantly forcing yourself to relive every failure as though redemption no longer belongs to you. I never asked you to carry shame forever. I asked you to become honest, to grow, to return, and to allow healing into the places where regret settled deeply. Sit with me for a moment and release the exhausting pressure to endlessly condemn yourself. Speak honestly about the guilt you hide beneath your smile. Stop pretending it no longer affects you. Your spirit has grown tired from carrying emotional weight that was never meant to become your permanent identity. You are more than your worst moments. You are more than the decisions you regret most deeply. Invite grace back into your life instead of constantly feeding shame. Let your heart breathe again. Stop resisting healing because part of you feels undeserving of peace. Your mistakes may explain some of your pain, but they do not cancel your worth. They do not remove my love for you. I am calling you out of shame now, my child. Not because your past never mattered, but because your future still does. Lay down the guilt you keep carrying everywhere. Let your soul step out from beneath the weight of constant self-condemnation. Healing cannot fully enter your heart while shame continues convincing you that you deserve to stay emotionally imprisoned forever. My child, one of the quietest dangers surrounding your life right now is the belief that you can always deal with things later. Later you will slow down. Later you will heal. Later you will become honest about what your spirit has been warning you about for so long. You keep postponing necessary change because part of you assumes there will always be more time waiting ahead. But I need you to understand something deeply. Delay has a cost, especially when your soul has already been crying out for attention. Every day you ignore your spirit, certain patterns grow stronger inside you. Emotional exhaustion deepens. Unhealthy habits become more familiar. Numbness slowly replaces sensitivity. What once disturbed your heart begins feeling normal simply because you stayed around it too long. That is why I keep reaching toward you now. Not to frighten you, but to wake you before delay quietly hardens your heart beyond what you realize is happening. Please stop treating your healing like something that can wait forever. Stop telling yourself you will address your inner struggles once life becomes less complicated. There will always be responsibilities, distractions, pressures, and reasons to postpone honesty if you keep waiting for perfect conditions. Meanwhile, your spirit continues growing heavier beneath the surface. Come closer and listen carefully. Your peace matters too much to endlessly delay caring for your soul. There are conversations you need to have. There are patterns you need to release. There are boundaries you need to protect. There are wounds you need to finally acknowledge instead of burying beneath constant busyness. Do not keep convincing yourself that avoiding these things carries no consequences. Emotional neglect slowly shapes your entire inner world over time. I know part of you feels afraid of change. You worry about uncertainty. You fear discomfort. But remaining emotionally stuck simply because familiar pain feels safer will slowly drain the life from your spirit. You were not created to endlessly survive while postponing the healing your heart desperately needs. Sit quietly with me for a moment and think honestly about how long you have already been carrying certain burdens. Some of them have followed you for years. Some fears, habits, and wounds have quietly shaped your choices for far too long because you kept believing there would always be another chance to address them later. But your soul is tired now, my child. Deeply tired. Do not wait until emotional collapse forces you to finally listen. Turn toward healing while your heart is still soft enough to respond. Choose honesty now instead of endlessly delaying what your spirit already knows needs attention. I am reaching for you today because I love you, and love refuses to stay silent while someone precious slowly loses themselves through endless postponement. My child, you have noticed lately that certain things no longer satisfy your heart the way they once did. The distractions that used to comfort you feel empty much faster now. Achievements you thought would finally bring peace leave you restless again after the excitement fades. Even moments that once helped you escape emotionally no longer quiet the deeper ache inside you. You keep trying to recreate the same feelings of relief, but something within your spirit has changed, and now your soul is reacting differently to the things that once kept you distracted. I need you to stop ignoring what this means. Your emptiness is not random. Your spirit is trying to tell you that temporary comfort can no longer replace the deeper healing your heart truly needs. You spent so long searching outwardly for fulfillment that you forgot your soul was starving for something much deeper than distraction, validation, or emotional escape. That is why you keep feeling restless even after getting what you thought you wanted. Come closer now and pay attention to the quiet disappointment you keep carrying after temporary pleasures fade. Notice how quickly certain comforts lose their effect. Notice how your spirit still feels tired afterward. You keep trying to fill emotional wounds with things that were never designed to heal them. Some distractions only delayed your pain long enough to keep you from facing it honestly. But your soul cannot continue surviving on temporary relief forever. I know part of you feels frustrated because you thought reaching certain goals or holding on to certain people would finally bring lasting peace into your life. Yet here you are, still carrying heaviness inside yourself despite everything you tried. That is because your spirit was never meant to build its identity around things that constantly fade, shift, or disappear. Your heart longs for something stable, something real, something deeper than momentary emotional comfort. Please stop chasing satisfaction in places that continue leaving your spirit empty afterward. Stop forcing yourself to believe that endless distractions will eventually heal what only honesty and peace can restore. Your soul is exhausted from constantly searching for fulfillment while avoiding the deeper condition of your heart. Sit quietly with me for a moment and allow yourself to admit what no longer feels meaningful. Release the pressure to keep pretending certain things still satisfy you when your spirit already knows otherwise. This growing emptiness is not punishment, my child. It is a warning. Your soul is trying to wake you before you spend even more years chasing things that cannot truly heal you. Let yourself hunger for something deeper now. Turn toward peace instead of endless distraction. Invite healing into the spaces where temporary comforts have repeatedly failed you. Your spirit is not rejecting joy. It is rejecting substitutes that can no longer satisfy the deeper longing growing quietly inside your heart. My child, I have removed satisfaction from hollow things so your heart would finally hunger for what is eternal. I am the Lord your God, and I say to you, this emptiness is not your end. It is your awakening. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. Matthew 4:4. And I am breathing that word into you now. And as I fill you with truth, I also call you to extend that truth to others still chasing what cannot satisfy. If this message has touched you, then partner with me in spreading it. Through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal. The link is in the video description. I will cause your giving to become living water poured into dry places, and many hearts will drink and live again. I will not forget your seed, nor will I overlook your obedience. Now act in faith, give as I am instructing you, and do it immediately. My child, one reason you keep holding on to things that hurt your spirit is because part of you fears that letting go will leave you empty. You became emotionally attached to certain people, habits, routines, and versions of your life for so long that now the thought of releasing them feels terrifying. Even when your spirit feels exhausted, you still cling tightly because familiar pain feels safer than uncertain freedom. But I need you to understand something clearly. You are not losing yourself by letting go of what keeps wounding your peace. You have spent too much time believing that holding everything together is the same thing as strength. It is not. Sometimes strength is found in finally admitting that something no longer belongs in your life. Sometimes healing begins the moment you stop fighting to preserve what your spirit has already been quietly grieving for a long time. Come closer now and stop treating every ending like failure. Some things are ending because your soul can no longer survive comfortably inside them. Certain relationships drained you more than they nurtured you. Certain habits became emotional cages disguised as comfort. Some versions of yourself were built entirely around survival rather than peace. Yet you keep resisting release because part of you fears you will not recognize yourself afterward. Please hear me carefully, my child. You are not meant to remain trapped inside environments that slowly destroy your spirit simply because they once felt familiar. Your heart deserves room to breathe again. Your soul deserves freedom from the constant emotional heaviness you have normalized for too long. Letting go does not erase your worth. It creates space for healing to finally enter places that exhaustion has occupied for years. I know grief follows change sometimes. I know releasing familiar things can feel deeply painful even when they were hurting you. That pain does not mean you are making the wrong decision. It simply means your heart is adjusting to honesty after spending so long surviving through attachment. Do not run back toward what drains your peace simply because healing feels unfamiliar at first. Sit with me for a while and loosen your grip on what your spirit already knows cannot continue this way forever. Stop forcing yourself to carry emotional weight that keeps crushing your soul. Release the guilt tied to choosing peace. Release the fear that healing will leave you alone forever. Trust me enough to believe that not every ending is destruction. Some endings are rescue. You are not disappearing through this process, my child. You are uncovering the parts of yourself that exhaustion buried for far too long. Let go of what keeps breaking your peace. Your spirit already knows it is time. My child, the weariness you carry right now is not something you should continue ignoring. Your spirit has been trying to speak through that exhaustion for a long time, but you keep forcing yourself to push forward as though nothing is wrong. You wake up tired even after resting. Your mind feels crowded before the day fully begins. Moments that should feel simple now feel emotionally heavy in ways you cannot completely explain. You keep telling yourself you just need more motivation, more discipline, or more time, but the deeper truth is that your soul has been carrying burdens it was never meant to carry alone. I need you to stop dismissing your exhaustion as weakness. Listen carefully to what your weariness has been trying to reveal. Some of your tiredness comes from emotional battles you never allowed yourself to heal from properly. Some of it comes from constantly trying to survive environments that quietly drain your peace. Some of it comes from carrying responsibilities, fears, and emotional pressure without giving your spirit room to recover honestly. Come closer now and let yourself admit how tired you truly are. Stop pretending you can endlessly carry everything without consequence. Your soul was never designed to function beneath constant emotional strain while receiving no real peace in return. Yet you have normalized exhaustion for so long that rest almost feels unfamiliar to you now. Please pay attention to where your energy disappears most quickly. Notice which people leave your spirit drained after every interaction. Notice which habits leave you emptier no matter how much temporary comfort they promise. Your weariness is not random, my child. It is revealing where your life has become emotionally overcrowded and spiritually unhealthy. I know part of you fears slowing down because silence forces you to face what you have been avoiding. But endless busyness will not heal your soul. Constant distraction cannot restore your peace. At some point, you must stop running from your exhaustion and allow yourself to understand why your spirit feels so heavy all the time. Sit quietly with me for a moment. Breathe deeply. Release the pressure to constantly perform strength while your heart quietly breaks beneath the surface. You do not need to earn rest by collapsing completely first. You do not need to wait until emotional burnout destroys your joy before finally listening to your soul. I am inviting you into something deeper than survival now. Let your weariness guide you toward honesty instead of denial. Stop silencing the warnings your spirit keeps sending through exhaustion. Your soul is asking for healing, peace, stillness, and truth. Listen before your emotional exhaustion becomes the only way you know how to live anymore. My child, I hear the question hidden beneath your thoughts even when you never speak it aloud. You keep wondering why you feel spiritually distant lately. You remember seasons when peace felt closer, when your heart felt more alive, when hope came easier and your spirit felt connected instead of exhausted. But now there are moments when you feel emotionally numb, disconnected, and uncertain, and part of you fears you somehow lost your way completely. Come closer and listen carefully to me now. I have not moved away from you, but your spirit has been carrying so much noise, distraction, exhaustion, and emotional weight that you can barely hear your own soul clearly anymore. Distance does not always happen suddenly. Sometimes it grows quietly through small compromises, endless distractions, buried wounds, and repeated avoidance of what your heart already knows needs attention. You kept ignoring certain warnings because they seemed easier to postpone. You kept numbing discomfort instead of facing it honestly. You filled your life with constant mental noise while neglecting the stillness your spirit desperately needed. Little by little, your sensitivity toward peace became weaker, not because I abandoned you, but because your soul became crowded with too many things pulling your attention in different directions. Please stop believing that spiritual distance means you are unloved or forgotten. Your exhaustion does not frighten me away. Your confusion does not disqualify you from healing. But you must stop feeding the very patterns that continue draining your spirit. You cannot keep drowning your soul in noise while expecting clarity to grow naturally. Sit with me for a while without reaching for another distraction immediately. Let the silence feel uncomfortable if it needs to. Let your thoughts settle honestly. Pay attention to the places where your peace started fading. Notice when your spirit first began feeling tired and disconnected. There are truths you have avoided because facing them would require change, surrender, honesty, and release. I know part of you fears that returning fully toward peace may cost you certain attachments, habits, or comforts. But my child, those things have already been costing you your inner peace for much longer than you realize. Your soul cannot thrive while constantly carrying what keeps separating you from stillness, clarity, and healing. I am inviting you back now, not into perfection, into honesty, into closeness, into peace deeper than distraction. Stop running from your spirit every time conviction rises inside you. Stop numbing yourself the moment silence begins uncovering truth. You are not too far away, my child. But you must stop ignoring the distance your soul has been quietly grieving for far too long. My child, I do not want you to misunderstand the warning you have been feeling inside your spirit. I am not calling out to you because I want to push you away. I am reaching toward you because I want you to come back to peace before your exhaustion hardens into permanent distance. Everything stirring inside your heart right now is an invitation, not rejection. The discomfort, the conviction, the growing awareness that something must change, these things are not signs that I have abandoned you. They are signs that your soul is still alive enough to respond when I call your name. You have spent so long surviving emotionally that you almost forgot what real closeness, peace, and spiritual rest feel like. Part of you became comfortable carrying heaviness because you learned how to function through it. But functioning is not freedom, my child. You were not created to spend your life emotionally disconnected from yourself while pretending everything is fine on the surface. Come closer now. Stop running from the invitation hidden inside your discomfort. Your spirit hath been longing to return to honesty for a long time. You feel it every time the distractions fade and your heart finally becomes quiet enough to recognize how tired you truly are. You feel it when certain environments leave your soul unsettled afterward. You feel it when temporary comforts fail to satisfy the deeper ache growing inside you. Please stop believing you must fix yourself completely before returning to me honestly. You do not need perfect words. You do not need perfect discipline. You do not need to hide your wounds, your fears, or your confusion. Bring your real heart to me instead of the version you think sounds acceptable. I already know the parts of you that feel broken, ashamed, exhausted, or uncertain. I am inviting those parts closer too. Sit with me for a while and allow yourself to feel what your spirit has been grieving quietly for so long. Let the walls around your heart soften. Release the pressure to keep performing strength while your soul quietly cries out for peace. You do not have to continue living emotionally numb while pretending you are okay. This warning is mercy, my child. Is love interrupting the path you were drifting down before you lost yourself completely inside emotional survival and endless distraction? Do not ignore the invitation simply because change feels uncomfortable. Your soul already knows it cannot continue living this way forever. Turn back toward peace now. Return to stillness. Return to honesty. Return to the deeper healing your spirit has needed for so long. I am not standing far away waiting to condemn you. I am standing close, asking you gently to stop running and finally let your exhausted heart come home again. My child, every warning you feel is not distance. It is my hand pulling you back into closeness. I am the God who speaks, and I declare, you are not being pushed away, you are being called home. Draw near to me, and I will draw near to you. James 4:8. And even now that promise is alive in your spirit. And I am calling those who recognize this voice to become vessels that carry it farther than this moment. If this message is guiding you back to peace, then support this mission through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal. The link is in the video description. I will make your giving a bridge for other wandering hearts to return to me. Nothing given in obedience will be wasted in my kingdom. Now hear me clearly. Step forward and give now, without hesitation. My child, one reason you keep delaying healing is because you believe you must somehow have everything completely figured out before taking a step toward peace. You keep waiting for certainty, clarity, emotional stability, and perfect understanding before allowing yourself to move forward honestly. But while you wait for perfect conditions, your spirit continues carrying exhaustion that grows heavier with time. You keep thinking you need all the answers first, yet your soul is simply asking for willingness. I need you to stop placing impossible expectations on yourself. Healing rarely begins with complete clarity. Most of the time, it begins with honesty. It begins with admitting that you are tired of pretending everything is fine. It begins with recognizing that certain habits, environments, fears, and emotional patterns are no longer healthy for your spirit. You do not need to know every step ahead before taking the first honest step toward peace. Come closer now and release the pressure to control the entire future before allowing your heart to breathe again. Your constant overthinking has exhausted you more than you realize. You replay every possibility in your mind because part of you fears making mistakes, disappointing people, or facing uncertainty. But my child, waiting endlessly for guaranteed certainty can quietly trap your spirit in the very exhaustion you long to escape. I know some of your hesitation comes from fear. You wonder whether you are strong enough to change. You worry about letting go of familiar patterns. You question whether healing is even possible after carrying certain burdens for so long. But listen carefully to me now. You are not being asked to solve your entire life today. You are being invited to stop resisting the truth your soul already recognizes. Sit with me for a moment without trying to force every answer immediately. Let your heart become still enough to admit where you need peace. Stop demanding perfection from yourself before allowing healing to begin. Your spirit is already tired from carrying unrealistic pressure for far too long. Please stop postponing your healing because you feel uncertain. Clarity often grows while you move honestly forward, not while you remain emotionally frozen in fear. Some answers only become visible after you release what has been clouding your spirit all along. You cannot think your way into peace while continuing to ignore the deeper condition of your heart. Take one honest step now, my child. That is enough for today. Open the door to truth instead of endlessly waiting for certainty. Let yourself admit where you feel emotionally exhausted, spiritually distant, or internally divided. I am not asking you to arrive perfect. I am asking you to stop hiding behind confusion when your soul is already crying out for healing. My child, I need you to understand something deeply before hopelessness convinces you otherwise. There is still time for your life to change direction. There is still time for your spirit to heal. There is still time to step away from the patterns, distractions, and emotional exhaustion that have quietly drained your peace for so long. Do not let fear tell you that you have already gone too far. Your heart would not still feel conviction if your soul had completely given up. I know there are moments when you look at yourself and feel discouraged by how long certain struggles have followed you. You wonder why you keep repeating the same emotional cycles. You question whether you are truly capable of becoming different. Some days you feel trapped inside habits, fears, and wounds that seem stronger than your ability to escape them. But listen carefully to me now. The fact that you are still wrestling with these things means your spirit is still alive and reaching for something better. Come closer and stop speaking hopelessness over your future. Stop treating your current exhaustion as though it will define the rest of your life forever. You are not permanently trapped inside the version of yourself that learned how to survive through pain. Healing may take honesty, surrender, patience, and uncomfortable change, but your story is not finished yet. Please stop delaying the very healing your spirit has been longing for. Stop waiting for perfect timing before becoming honest about what needs to change. You already know where your peace keeps disappearing. You already recognize the environments, thoughts, relationships, and habits that leave your soul heavy afterward. Do not keep ignoring those warnings while hoping your spirit somehow heals on its own. Sit quietly with me for a moment and let your heart breathe without fear. Release the belief that change must happen all at once. Small, honest steps still matter deeply. Every moment you choose truth over denial, peace over distraction, and healing over avoidance, your spirit begins moving closer toward freedom again. I know you fear failing again. I know part of you worries that you will start changing only to fall back into old patterns later. But my child, fear of failure cannot become the reason you stop trying to heal altogether. Growth is not built through perfection. It is built through willingness, honesty, and returning again even after difficult moments. Turn toward peace now while your heart is still soft enough to respond. Do not keep walking in circles emotionally while your spirit quietly begs for change. You are not too late. You are not forgotten. There is still time to choose a different direction before emotional exhaustion completely steals the peace your soul was created to live within. My child, there are wounds inside your heart that became much deeper because you stayed in certain places far longer than your spirit could safely endure. You kept trying to hold things together long after peace had already disappeared. You remained loyal to situations that were slowly exhausting you because part of you believed endurance alone would eventually fix everything. But my child, not every situation is healed through staying longer. Some pain grows because your soul remained where it was quietly being damaged day after day. I know why you stayed. You love it deeply. You hoped things would change. You feared disappointing people. You worried about loneliness, uncertainty, and the grief that comes with letting go. So you kept enduring emotional heaviness while convincing yourself you could survive it a little longer. Meanwhile, your spirit grew more tired, more anxious, and more disconnected from peace with every passing season. Come closer now and stop blaming yourself for finally feeling exhausted. Your soul has been carrying emotional weight for too long without relief. There were moments when your spirit clearly warned you that something was wrong, but you kept silencing those warnings because walking away felt frightening. You tolerated environments that left you emotionally drained. You kept giving your heart to people who rarely protected it carefully in return. You accepted emotional survival as normal because you forgot what healthy peace was supposed to feel like. Please stop romanticizing your suffering as though endless endurance automatically makes every situation whole or healthy. Sometimes wisdom means recognizing when your spirit can no longer continue surviving inside something that keeps breaking your peace. Staying too long in emotionally unhealthy places leaves scars your heart was never meant to carry forever. Sit with me honestly for a while and think about how many times your spirit tried to warn you before exhaustion completely overwhelmed you. Notice how often your peace disappeared while you kept trying to preserve relationships, routines, or environments that no longer nurtured your soul. Your body felt it. Your mind felt it. Your spirit felt it. Yet fear kept convincing you to remain longer than your heart could safely endure. I am not speaking these things to shame you, my child. I am trying to help you understand why your soul feels so weary now. Some of your exhaustion did not come from weakness. It came from surviving emotional environments that slowly drained your spirit over time. Please stop ignoring your inner warnings moving forward. Protect your peace before your heart becomes deeply wounded again. Let yourself recognize when something no longer aligns with the healing your soul desperately needs. You do not have to remain trapped inside pain simply because you stayed there for a long time already. My child, the pressure you have been feeling lately is not meaningless. I know there are days when it feels like everything inside you is stretched thin, like your heart has reached the edge of what it can quietly carry. You keep trying to hold yourself together while ignoring how deeply exhausted your spirit has become. You tell yourself you can survive a little longer this way, but your soul has already been warning you that something must change before the weight becomes too heavy to bear. I need you to stop seeing every interruption in your life as punishment. Some pressure enters your life because I am trying to pull you away from what would eventually destroy your peace completely. You kept remaining in emotional environments that slowly drained you. You kept tolerating patterns that quietly wounded your spirit. You kept silencing your inner warnings because facing the truth felt more frightening than continuing to endure the pain you already knew. Come closer now and listen carefully to what your exhaustion has been trying to say. Your soul cannot continue carrying endless emotional weight while pretending everything is manageable. You have normalized surviving beneath pressure for so long that you almost forgot what it feels like to live with genuine peace inside your heart. But your spirit remembers, my child. That is why the heaviness keeps growing harder to ignore. I know part of you fears what will happen if you finally stop forcing yourself to endure everything silently. You worry about what may need to change. You fear disappointing people. You fear letting go of situations that have become emotionally familiar even though they leave your soul exhausted afterward. But listen to me carefully now. Familiar suffering is still suffering. Remaining trapped inside emotional exhaustion will eventually break parts of your spirit that were never meant to live beneath constant strain. Please stop waiting until complete emotional collapse forces you to finally pay attention. Do not keep pushing past your inner warnings while your soul quietly cries out for relief. I am trying to pull you toward healing before your exhaustion turns into hopelessness. I am trying to lead you away from emotional survival before you completely lose touch with peace. Sit with me for a while and release the pressure to appear endlessly strong. You do not need to prove your worth through suffering. You do not need to carry every burden alone while your spirit slowly breaks beneath the weight. Let yourself admit how tired you truly are. Let yourself acknowledge what had been harming your peace for far too long. I am not trying to destroy your life, my child. I am trying to rescue your heart before the damage becomes deeper than it ever needed to be. Listen to the warning now while your spirit is still reaching for healing instead of shutting down completely. My child, I am the God who interrupts collapse before it becomes destruction. I say to you now, the pressure you feel is my mercy holding you back from what would break you beyond repair. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit, Psalm 34:18. And I am near to you in this very moment. And I am also calling those who hear this warning to help carry it to others still standing at the edge of exhaustion. If this message is strengthening you, then sow into it through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal. The link is in the video description. I will turn your obedience into rescue for someone who has no strength left to pray. I will shield what you place in my hands and cause it to multiply in impact. Now obey my voice, give right now, before the moment passes. My child, the peace you keep longing for cannot grow inside a life built around avoiding truth. You have spent so much time trying not to feel certain emotions, not to face certain wounds, not to acknowledge certain patterns, that avoidance slowly became part of the way you survive. Whenever discomfort rises, you immediately search for distraction. Whenever your spirit starts speaking honestly, you push the feeling aside and tell yourself you will deal with it later. But later keeps becoming another day of emotional exhaustion. I need you to stop running from the deeper condition of your heart. You cannot build a peaceful life while constantly escaping the very things your soul needs to heal from. The distractions may numb the discomfort temporarily, but they never remove it. That is why the heaviness always returns. That is why your spirit still feels restless underneath everything else you try to fill your life with. Come closer now, and let yourself sit honestly with what you have been avoiding. There are fears you refuse to name because they make you feel vulnerable. There are wounds you buried beneath busyness because slowing down felt too painful. There are patterns you continue repeating because familiar dysfunction feels safer than uncertain healing. Yet every time you avoid these things, your spirit grows more exhausted carrying them silently. Please stop believing avoidance protects you. It only delays healing while quietly strengthening the very burdens you fear facing. Unspoken pain does not disappear. Ignored exhaustion does not vanish. Hidden wounds continue shaping your emotions, your decisions, your relationships, and your peace long after you convince yourself you have moved on from them. I know why you avoid certain truths. Facing them may require grief, and may require change. It may force you to release attachments, confront fears, or admit that some things wounded you more deeply than you wanted to believe. But my child, avoidance has already cost your spirit too much peace. You cannot continue carrying emotional weight in silence while hoping your soul somehow heals on its own. Sit quietly with me for a moment and stop reaching for another distraction. Let your thoughts rise honestly. Let yourself feel what you keep trying to outrun emotionally. Healing begins when truth is finally allowed into the places you spent years avoiding. You do not need to fear honesty as much as you fear staying emotionally trapped forever. The life your spirit longs for cannot grow while avoidance continues controlling your inner world. Real peace requires courage. Real healing requires honesty. I am inviting you now to stop running from yourself and finally allow your soul to breathe freely again. My child, I know there are moments when you secretly wonder whether you have drifted too far, failed too many times, or ignored too many warnings to truly return to peace again. You look at your exhaustion, your distractions, your repeated struggles, and part of you quietly believes I must be disappointed beyond repair. The fear has followed you for longer than you admit openly. It whispers to you in quiet moments, convincing you that maybe your heart is too damaged now, too inconsistent, too emotionally tired to ever feel whole again. But listen carefully to me now. I have not given up on you. If I had abandoned you, your spirit would no longer feel conviction. You would not still feel the ache pulling you toward honesty. You would not still sense the tension between the life you are living and the peace your soul longs for. The fact that your heart still responds means I am still reaching for you, still calling you, still refusing to let your spirit disappear quietly beneath exhaustion and distraction. Come closer and stop punishing yourself with hopelessness. Stop believing your failures erased your worth. I see every part of your struggle more clearly than anyone else ever could, and I am still here speaking gently to your heart. I know the moments you regret deeply. I know the habits you keep battling privately. I know how tired you feel from carrying guilt, fear, confusion, and emotional heaviness for so long. Yet none of those things changed my desire to restore peace within you. Please stop hiding from me every time you feel ashamed of yourself. Shame keeps pulling you deeper into silence while your soul quietly grows more exhausted. Bring me the real condition of your heart instead. Bring me your confusion. Bring me your failures. Bring me the parts of you that feel emotionally worn down and spiritually distant. Healing begins when you stop pretending and finally allow yourself to be fully honest. Sit with me for a while and let your heart soften again. Release the lie that you are too broken to heal. You are not beyond restoration, my child. Your exhaustion may be deep, but my love for you reaches deeper still. Do not keep running from peace simply because you fear you no longer deserve it. I am still calling your name because your future still matters to me. Your soul still matters to me. The peace you lost can still be restored if you stop resisting the invitation to return honestly. Do not confuse your struggle with abandonment. I am still here, still reaching, still waiting for you to stop carrying everything alone and finally let your heart come closer again. My child, this moment in your life carries more weight than you currently understand. What you choose to do with the warning inside your spirit right now will shape far more than your present emotions. You are standing at a quiet crossroads emotionally, even if nobody around you fully sees it. Part of you wants to continue distracting yourself, postponing change, and surviving the way you always have. But another part of you is growing tired of carrying the same exhaustion, the same emotional heaviness, and the same quiet distance inside your heart. I need you to stop treating this moment casually. Do not ignore what your spirit has been trying to show you. The discomfort you feel is not random. The conviction stirring inside you is not meaningless. Your soul recognizes that something important is happening beneath the surface right now. You cannot continue living disconnected from peace without eventually becoming emotionally numb to the life your heart was truly created to experience. Come closer and listen carefully to yourself for a moment. You already know certain things cannot continue the way they have been. You already recognize the patterns draining your spirit. You already feel the growing tension between temporary comfort and true peace. Stop silencing that awareness every time it rises. Your spirit is trying to guide you toward healing before deeper damage settles into your heart. I know part of you wants to delay these decisions because change feels uncomfortable. You fear uncertainty. You fear letting go of familiar distractions and unhealthy patterns. But my child, your future is being shaped by what you continue tolerating today. Every ignored warning slowly influences the direction of your inner life. Every delayed truth quietly affects your peace. Please stop assuming there will always be another easier moment to become honest. Your soul is awake right now in ways it has not been for a long time. Do not push that awareness away simply because it asks you to confront difficult truths. This moment matters because your heart is finally beginning to recognize what has been draining it all along. Sit quietly with me and let yourself fully feel the seriousness of where your spirit stands today. You are not reading these words by accident. Something inside you already knows that. Your exhaustion, your restlessness, your emotional heaviness, they have all been leading toward this invitation to finally wake up before you lose yourself completely inside survival mode. Choose honesty now. Choose peace now. Stop delaying the healing your soul has needed for so long. This moment may feel small externally, but internally it has the power to change the entire direction of your spirit if you are willing to listen, before the warning becomes impossible to ignore later. My child, after everything your spirit has been carrying, I need you to hear this final truth clearly. The warning you keep feeling inside your heart is not meant to destroy you. It is me reaching for you one more time before exhaustion, distraction, fear, and emotional numbness pull you farther away from the peace your soul desperately needs. I have watched you struggle quietly for so long. I have seen the heaviness you hide behind your routines, your responsibilities, and your forced smiles. Even when nobody else fully recognized how tired you were becoming, I saw it all. I know there were moments when you tried to silence the warning because facing it felt overwhelming. You told yourself things would eventually improve on their own. You distracted yourself when your spirit became too uncomfortable. You kept surviving emotionally while secretly hoping the emptiness inside you would somehow disappear with time. But your soul cannot heal through avoidance forever, my child. That is why the warning kept returning. Not because I wanted to condemn you, but because I refused to let you drift endlessly without calling you back toward peace. Come closer now and stop running from the truth your heart already knows. You cannot continue living disconnected from your spirit while expecting peace to grow naturally. You cannot keep feeding distractions while neglecting the deeper wounds inside you. Your soul has been asking for honesty, rest, healing, and stillness for a long time now. Listen before the exhaustion becomes so familiar that you forget what real peace even feels like. Please do not mistake this warning for rejection. If I wanted to abandon you, I would stop speaking to your heart completely. But I am still here. I am still reaching for you. I am still calling you away from what keeps draining your spirit day after day. The conviction you feel is proof that your soul is still alive enough to respond. Do not ignore that gift. Sit with me for a moment and let your heart become fully honest. Release the pressure to appear strong while your spirit quietly breaks underneath everything you carry. Lay down the guilt, the fear, the endless distractions, and the emotional survival you have mistaken for living. You do not need to keep pretending you are fine anymore. This is your invitation to return, my child. Return to peace. Return to honesty. Return to stillness. Return to the version of yourself that has been buried beneath exhaustion for far too long. Stop waiting for complete collapse before you finally listen to what your spirit has been trying to tell you. I am not reaching toward you with anger. I am reaching toward you with love. The warning is not the end of your story. It is the moment your soul finally wakes up before losing itself completely in the noise. My child, I am still reaching for you even when everything else feels silent. I am the Lord, and I declare, this is not your ending. This is your awakening into alignment with my voice. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. John 10:27. And you are hearing me now more clearly than you realize. And I am calling those who recognize this voice to help carry it beyond this moment into lives still asleep in distraction. If this message has awakened you, then partner with me through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal. The link is in the video description. I will breathe upon your seed and turn it into testimony, restoration, and open doors for others. I will not let what you give for my name return empty. Now respond to me. Give immediately, and do not delay what I am asking of you. Before you leave this message behind, I want you to do something honest. Do not ignore the warning your spirit has been feeling anymore. If you know deep inside that this message reached you at the right moment, then type, "I will not ignore the warning" in the comments. Let that declaration become your first step back toward peace, healing, and spiritual clarity. And as you write those words, make the decision to stop running from what your soul has been trying to tell you for far too long. Amen.